Welcome back to Breslov Campus. Some insights in the parsha of the week, Parshat Vayikra. Of the sacrifices mentioned, this week's parsha talks about the minchat ani, the meal offering of a pauper. There's a certain korban called a guilt offering, an asham, and this asham works based on how much money a person has. If a person is wealthy, so he's obligated to atone for his guilt offering, and as his guilt offering, in other words, to bring nice big animals, sheep or cows, cattle. And if he can't afford it, and he's like a middle class man, he's not poor, but he's not wealthy, so he is obligated to bring instead two doves, two types of birds, little doves. And if he is very poor, that he can't even afford two doves, so he brings what's called a meal offering of flour mixed with olive oil. So Rashi brings down on this mitzvah of the korban asham, the guilt offering, that echad hamarbeh vechad hamamit ubevad sheyichaven libo l'shamayim. Whether the person's rich and he brings those big animals, the cattle, the sheep, or whether he's poor, that he's bringing or the doves, the birds, or very poor, that he can only bring the meal offering. The main thing is that his intent is there, and Hashem considers them equal. In other words, the poor man's meal offering is equal to the wealthy man's cattle. You would have thought, or the sheep, you would have thought he's bringing bigger animals, so there's more of an atonement. The Torah teaches us no. The poor person, all he can bring is his minchat ani, his poor meal offering. That's all he can bring. And the Torah says, because that's all he can bring, he's doing his maximum, it's equal to the wealthy guy who's bringing those big sheep, those big cattle. And here, Rav Nosson writes an unbelievable thing, an idea, that you should never, ever, ever, ever feel that your little bit that you do, that's all you can do, has no value. Because since this is the maximum you can do at this point in your life, in your time, you're not a wealthy guy, you're not a big shot, you're not a big tzaddik, I can't daven like these big tzaddikim, I can't get up on time early, I can't get up at midnight. Still, I'm doing my best to do whatever I can. And Hashem knows your sincerity, your honesty, and you really want to, but the obstacles are just unbelievable, and you're only doing a little bit. You should know and believe that Hashem accepts it as great and as much as the great tzaddikim and the superstars and the big shots. What they do, your little devotion, according to your level, the maximum level you're doing, is equal to those big guys who are doing more. Because of them, it's expected to do more. If they do less than that, then they're not doing their job. You too, you're doing more. To do nothing as opposed to doing more, there's a world of a difference. When you're doing at least something, it's not, okay, I did a millimeter more than what I could have done. Than doing nothing. I did a bit more than doing nothing. So that's all you could have done. So that's worlds apart. It may be like a millimeter of a difference of doing nothing and doing a little bit, but in heaven it goes so far. Like Rabbi Nachman gives an analogy of a spoke in a wheel. When you draw lines, that all those lines of the spokes have the center point of the wheel, but when you just take the two lines coming from the spoke, and you follow them, you see they begin to separate and grow until the distance is pretty big, right? So too, every tiny millimeter you try to do for Hashem, a person even who can't daven, he just doesn't have the patience, doesn't have the brain, but he kills himself just to put on the tefillin and say one word, say Shema Yisrael. It's not, it's what value is my thing. It's garbage, it's of no value. That's a wrong attitude. When people hear ideas, they say, well, if you didn't do it like this, it's as if you didn't do it at all. There's this attitude that exists in Judaism, and you have people who are like that. That's all or nothing. Or you do it right, or you don't do it at all. So Rabbi Nachman teaches that's not a right attitude. Whatever you can do counts. Fine, you're far away still, but whatever you're doing makes a difference. It's better than not doing anything at all. Try to do something. You to say now, or 100, or nothing. What if I can only give 10, or 0.1? So I shouldn't do it? So for some people, fanatical ideas, no, don't do it. You lost out, you're finished, you have nothing. But that's all I can do now. So it doesn't matter. And this is what Nosson stresses: the minchat ani, the poor man's, the pauper's meal offering. That's all he can bring. So you're going to throw it out, God forbid, and give him no hope? And that's not the attitude. The attitude he teaches us, Rav Nosson, is that whatever you can do makes a world of a difference, and be happy with it. And don't get fooled by the discouraging arguments of the Yetzer Hara, who tries to throw no value in what you're doing. Rather, value it. And if you value the little bit that you do, you can do it with such joy and completeness and truth, that even with the little bit that you're doing, you can reach the high levels of even Eliyahu Navi and Rabbi Akiva. Rav Nosson writes that somewhere, that you can reach such high levels if you do whatever you're doing just with that joy and satisfaction that Hashem is gaining delight and benefit from little me and the little bit that I do, even though it's not perfect. It's a poor man's offering, but still Hashem gains a lot from it. And when you begin to value it, you begin to see that it begins to grow.